Hello everyone, it's Dylan from Yugioh Everything, and welcome back to another Yu-Gi-Oh! Discussion video. This time we will be going over some Yu-Gi-Oh! 7 prediction elements, I guess you can say. I don't really know what to call this video, but it will basically be me going over and making educated guesses as to when we might possibly get some news regarding Yu-Gi-Oh! 7, and when I believe that Yu-Gi-Oh! 7 will officially start. I will also very quickly go over everything we know in regards to Yu-Gi-Oh! 7 thus far. So for those of you that have been completely out of the loop when it comes to the Yu-Gi-Oh! Anime, Yu-Gi-Oh! Vrains is ongoing. Usually when we get a new announcement for Yu-Gi-Oh! Anime, that announcement does not come until Jump Festa, and Jump Festa is always in December. So shockingly, 5 months ahead of schedule, it was announced that Yu-Gi-Oh! 7 is coming out. The only thing we know in regards to this show is that it's already in production. It has to do with the 20th anniversary of Yu-Gi-Oh! Or the Yu-Gi-Oh! Anime, and that, quote, it will change the history of Yu-Gi-Oh! The actual quote is, the history of the Yu-Gi-Oh! Anime series will change. That is a pretty monstrous statement. Now, it might not actually mean anything. When I see something like that, I think that they literally might do a show that either rewrites an older show or is going to be very similar to Arc 5, where they go back and include legacy characters, and they kind of, I don't want to say do Arc 5 right, because Arc 5 was obviously its own show, and Arc 5 did a lot of cool things, but do like the legacy character aspect right. I don't think Arc 5 did the legacy character aspect extremely well. I don't think it was executed really well. The idea of it was fantastic. I still believe to this day that Arc 5 had the most ambitious and exciting and interesting plot line out of any Yu-Gi-Oh! Story. I do believe that. Execution-wise, maybe it's a bit of another story. It's another debate there, and I think it would be cool to take elements of Arc 5 and maybe instead of, again, another thing that Arc 5 did that I didn't really love is that when you went back to Synchro, to Heartland, to Fusion, it wasn't necessarily the same characters. It was the same character designs and names, but the characters had no recollection of themselves from GX. It was a completely alternate universe, and I didn't really love that because they basically could have just used new characters and it wouldn't have made any difference. Maybe with this story, if you're going to do something like that, maybe you go back and you actually make these legacy character cameos, if again that's the route they're going, be the real characters from those universes and have references from the older shows. I think it would be really, really cool, but we'll see if that's the route they go. That's not really what we're going to talk about in this video. In this particular video, I'm going to be going over when I believe we will get more news in regards to Yu-Gi-Oh! 7. So, just for reference, this whole graphic was announced at Jump Victory Carnival, and there will actually be another Jump Victory Carnival on July 28th in Osaka, Japan. Whether we get more news at that, probably not. They might just end up showing the same graphic, but there is a chance that in a couple of days we might get some more news on Yu-Gi-Oh! 7. Some other key dates to look for are V-Jump releases. I don't think personally we are going to get any new information for this show in a V-Jump leak. I think it has to be actually like a visual graphic or a visual announcement, especially if it's going to be such a massive announcement, which is probably the name of the show, what the show is going to be about, the characters of the show. I don't think they're going to release that in V-Jump where you can actually read it. I think they would do something different where it's a graphic visual, it's an actual video announcement, but some dates to keep in mind for V-Jump leaks is usually the 18th of every month, so August 18th, September 18th, October, November, and December 18th. But the true day that I believe we are going to get any more news on Yu-Gi-Oh! 7 will be Jump Festa, when we were originally going to get the announcement, where every new Yu-Gi-Oh! Show, to my knowledge, has been announced. Jump Festa, massive convention in Japan, takes place the weekend before Christmas. So if we fast forward to December 2019, I know a lot of you guys are like, oh, you really don't think we're going to get anything for 5 months? I really don't. I do not think we are going to get any news for 5 months. If you fast forward to December 2019, it's always the weekend before. So December 21st and the 22nd is when that convention will be going on. So I believe that on December 21st, it's a Saturday, we will get news regarding Yu-Gi-Oh! 7, what the show is going to be about, the main character, the title, maybe even some other character designs. I mean, for all we know, this might be a reboot of the original show. Maybe it's going to be a version of the original Yu-Gi-Oh! That follows the manga to a T. We don't really know what it's going to be about, and if that's the case, then there's not really going to be much to reveal in terms of new characters or anything like that. So again, we have no idea what this is going to be, which is actually really exciting. Just the fact that we have it is really, really cool. But unfortunately, I do think we are going to have to be very patient, which is going to be tough for me. And I do not believe we are going to get any more news on Yu-Gi-Oh! 7 until December 21st. Then again, I didn't think there was any chance that we would get any sort of announcement on Yu-Gi-Oh! 7 before December 21st. So who knows? Maybe I'll be wrong again. Maybe everyone will be wrong again in the best way possible, and we will get an announcement from Konami, from whoever, from the Yu-Gi-Oh! Team over in Japan about Yu-Gi-Oh! 7, about the 2020 show in like October, September. Who really knows? Anything is on the table, but my prediction, December 21st, V-Jump, or Jump Fest, excuse me, we will get more news. Now, as for when I believe this show will start, it's hard to predict if this show is going to be on a Wednesday night or on a Saturday night. Arc 5 aired on Saturday nights in Japan. We got it Saturday mornings over in the States. Vrains aired on Wednesday nights in Japan, is currently airing on Wednesday nights. We get to see them Wednesday mornings. So let's just assume Yu-Gi-Oh! 7 airs on a Saturday night. Every single Yu-Gi-Oh!, not including Vrains, because we had Yu-Gi-Oh! Labo in April of 2017, and there were obviously, with how Arc 5 ended and how Vrains began, especially with the recaps, there were a lot of issues with behind the scenes for the Yu-Gi-Oh! Team at Studio Gallop. I believe that. There's no definitive proof, even though there are some tweets from former animators that were clearly very frustrated. I've done a bunch of videos on that, but all you need to know is there was a lot of chaos behind the scenes at Studio Gallop, the studio that animates the Yu-Gi-Oh! Shows. So Yu-Gi-Oh! Vrains did not start until May, but besides that, every single Yu-Gi-Oh!, not including GX, has started in April. So I believe that April 4th on a Saturday night is when we will get our first episode of Yu-Gi-Oh! 7. That's just my prediction. It might not be right. It might be completely wrong. Maybe we'll get it in January. Maybe we'll get it in September, October. But based on precedents set by Yu-Gi-Oh!, April 4th, the night of, is when we will get our first episode of this new show. But I will say, guys, again, on a very positive note, it is amazing that, according to this announcement, this show is already in production. That is amazing, because going back to Vrains, when Vrains was first announced, first of all, the initial storyline of what the show was going to be about wasn't really accurate. We only got a picture of Yusaku, and we didn't even get the name of what Yu-Gi-Oh! 6 was, just that it was a new show and that Yusaku Fujiki doesn't like to stand out at school or something along those lines, and like a graphic art that didn't even really come true, that doesn't look even that closely to what we got in the show. So Yu-Gi-Oh! Vrains probably wasn't even being worked on until like November. The fact that they are working on this show 4 months before normal or before scheduled time, probably about 8 or 9 months before the show is actually going to start airing, that they have that much of a head start on it, is a really good sign. And guys, again, I am just so excited for this show, and any news we get on it, any minor news we get on it, I will be covering it immediately. Road to Yu-Gi-Oh! 7. I did a series called Road to Yu-Gi-Oh! 6 back in 2016. I will 100% be doing a Road to Yu-Gi-Oh! 7 series. The first video will be going over the prospects of a girl main character, how likely I think it is to happen. Spoiler alert, not very likely, but I'll be giving my thoughts as to why I think most of the community would really like to see it. I think it's probably one of the top wants that the community has, and I'm going to do some research as to whether I think it really is a possibility, and just go over that in the first Road to Yu-Gi-Oh! 7 video. So if you guys have any suggestions for that series, please leave them down below and let me know what your wish list is for this new show. Thank you all so much for watching. Leave any thoughts down below. If you have any predictions, by the way, on when you think we might hear information, or if you agree with me, please let me know. I love hearing from you guys. A special thank you to my Platinum tier patrons, Alexa Baker, Glen McGookin, Jorge Carrillo, James Rose, Samuel Stark, Thomas Adderley, Horace Maye, Goosey Q, Vincent Van Der Veen, Jordan Osceola, Smith620, RedEye, and FrostReaper. And to my Diamond tier patrons, Jesse Wood and Garrett Palmer. And to my Egyptian God tier patrons, Syn Cloud, Chris Swan, Joss Rivers, and Matthew Kennedy ×2. A huge thank you to everyone who supports me over on Patreon and is a YouTube channel member. I cannot tell you how much it really does help me out and allows me to continually grow the channel. And a huge thank you to everyone who just watches these videos, because without you guys, I would not be able to do this. I will talk to you all down below. Thank you all so much for watching, and I hope you have an amazing day.
この胸には証を同じ涙濡れたら僕らはライ